quite able to get the passive there. Now Elyoya is dead. Nisqy is still firing off. You've got the barrier here for Hylissang. Flash, but Flash is as a kill pressure right now. Chasy looking for it. The whirling death is coming in, and Carzzy gets his stacks again.
Okay.
Slow, go VK.
Gagas 1 HP. Gagas 1 HP. Wow. Again.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice team gap.
And welcome back to the LEC ahead of our third game of today's first series as Astralis bounce back here in game 2. We had no clear expectations here on the side of Astralis, but they bounced back quite convincingly actually, and it all started in the early game, Ender.
It absolutely did. I mean, even at the start of things, it didn't look like Astralis were going to run away with the game by any means, right? Both junglers sort of path down towards that bottom side of the map, and it was Mad that set up this turret dive. And at the start, everything looks like it's going perfectly. They explode the Nami, but look at this. Carzzy gets one more auto attack after Elyoya dropped turret aggro, and that leads to, you know, a couple of kills get traded back on the other side.
100%. And even with how messy this dive actually turns out to be, it still seems like it favors Mad Lions a little bit. You know, you have blue buff and Nisqy on the rise. You have a bot wave that's stacking towards Mad Lions as well. But where I think Mad Lions really struggled was finding the potential to really drive their lead forward. And Dajor on 113 really elevated themselves, finding picks again now on the Java and on the Silas.
And it was mostly finding Elyoya, you know, walking into enemy jungle right there, getting picked off, leading on to another team fight as well. Elyoya also got picked away, and it was just smart play around the mid lane that it looked like almost an inverse of what had occurred in game 1 when it was Astralis getting picked up.
Yeah, and the inverse of the expectations we had coming into today's series, because we were like, Mad Lions mid jungle should have the upper hand here, but to me, it was a clear Dajor redemption story after a poor performance in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like both mid laners came away with like 3 kills very early on, but then multiple skirmishes around this mid lane. It was Dajor that was coming away with the upper hand.
Yeah, I just think there is more playmaking potential for Dajor here as well.
Yeah.
It looked a bit awkward when he was playing the Rise, trying to go into melee range and find the pickup, but here is so much easier for him. You know, you steal away the Vi ultimate, you can steal away the Ashe ultimate, you can steal away the Gragas ultimate, and you want to be melee in their face when you're playing the Silas. He looked way more comfortable, and actually I'd argue as well that Mad Lions didn't look comfortable at all. It seemed like they really struggled to play their composition, and it looked like they didn't really have a way to find the key members of Astralis. Dajor was a problem, Kobbe was a problem, and the game just ran away from them.
Yeah, clearly, and they couldn't take it back actually, which is what I found surprising, but we've been talking about the fact that if Astralis can have a good situation in the early game, they may have the ability to steamroll and actually take the game. And here, what surprised me the most is the Kobbe versus Carzzy matchup in the bot lane, and we talked about how Mad Lions bot lane was stable, but here to me it was kind of the other side of the coin that we haven't seen so much so far.
Yeah, it definitely looked like they felt a bit more awkward on these kind of squishy champions that had to walk forward. I remember the fight in mid lane where Carzzy flashes forward, gets a kill, but then he's like, well, I'm stuck in the enemy team and I have no way of getting out. Hylissang was the target of either stolen Vi ultimate on the Silas to get on him, the Javan as well. So it just felt like they couldn't really leave the same impact that they had wanted to when they were playing the Lucian and Nami.
I think that in a similar way to yesterday, where bot lane was the entire focus of the majority of those games, we're again seeing a very similar situation where it actually doesn't look like bot lane is deciding the outcome of the game. That definitely has been mid jungle, but both teams are putting a ton of attention on setting up their bot lanes for success early on.
Yeah, Vedius said it in the cast as well, where he said, well, it's going to be about the mid jungle, but not necessarily in the mid lane. It's going to be where they're moving, and that's going to be down towards the bot lane, especially when you're going for the bot lane combo where it is double range. That's a matchup that requires jungle attention from the enemy that's playing against it. They need to play against it so the range matchup can't get away with it, much like we saw VoD do on the Kindred yesterday. And for the team that has it on their team, they need to facilitate it. They need to make sure that they can just keep being stable and play for it. And that's why we keep getting these skirmishes that get so messy. Even when camps are up on the top side, you still need to be down towards the bot lane because the matchup demands it.
So in that sense, looking ahead at game 3, what do we want to see on both sides? And for this, I would like to look at the draft for game 1 as Mad chose blue side once again. What worked for them in game 1, and what do you want to prevent Astralis from doing?
Well, honestly, what worked for Mad Lions was their entire first rotation here. Of course, they lock in Nami as the first pick, and then they still managed to get Lucian and Maokai. I think that was the huge
This is the
miss
illegal
from
draft.
Astralis. Like, Astralis taking Vi as prio over Maokai. Their read in the week with Maokai nerfs is clearly that it's not as strong, but I think that is a big mistake from them coming through. And you actually saw it in game 2. They themselves on blue side banned both the Sejuani and the Maokai, which makes me concerned that they don't even want to play the Maokai themselves.
Yeah, I totally don't think they would. I imagine that Ash ban on Luluban is going to get swapped for a Maokai ban instead, and they want to go into it with the same kind of thought process. If they're giving over the Lucian Nami, well, then JeongHoon and Kobbe themselves can try and counter it with Varish and Ash and go for the double range bot lane. And then once again, who plays around the bot lane better will become the story again.
I was going to say, yeah, the Ash, I think, does need to go with the context of them giving it up in the last one and Lucian Nami looking really, really powerful in the bot lane in this series. I think that's a good look. Then in terms of the rest of the map, like, I think the Jax pick is something that Finn looked really good on for Astralis, and quite frankly, I think Mad Lions might try to ban that out in the second phase, because this time they banned away the Sylas back in game number 1, so Dajor went over towards the Rise, but I think Dajor would love to get another one of those melee picks like the Rise.
If there's one thing that, in terms of the pattern I saw in both games that would really make the difference for the mid and jungle as well, it's that you find yourself with team fighting tools instead, where you can actually accelerate a gold lead when you get it, or give more comeback potential. When you had the Maokai, it was easier to play. When you had the Azir, it was easier to play. And now when you had the Vi, that kind of seems like a cursed champion so far. It's got 2 losses now. It seems like they just ult and they die. So if you don't draft a follow-up against it, don't draft it at all.
Quick hit on the priority of Lucian Nami, maybe on blue side so far, and
it's really strong. I
mean,
still. I think you keep locking that in, especially like Mad Lions would never change that with the context of Maokai not being picked from Astralis on the opposite side. They were happy to give that one up in order to secure the Lucian Nami. And you see in the bot lane with Hylissang coming away with that 2v2 kill here back in game number 1, like, it's just perfection.
Yeah, and I think we've seen changes on the 13-1B in terms of a lot of these AD carries. In my opinion, it hasn't really been enough in terms of shutting them down. I think with the IE changes coming through, maybe opened up for more champions like a potential Samira in the future, but I also think that Lucian Nami is by no means deaf. The only champion that I thought they really killed was Yuumi, and outside of that, I still expect seeing the same kind of bot laners have the same priority as we've seen so far.
I'm just wondering how much of a risk you can take in a game like this. Quick hit on predictions, maybe. What do we expect? Who do we expect to come on top here? Astralis come back in game 2, but is this going to be enough?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think Mad Lions still definitely have my vote going into this one. Going back to blue side, having Prio on their bot lane matchup is going to be really important. But also just my question's still in the draft with Astralis and in the consistency, I think, in which they can get a lead in the mid jungle. I'm not convinced after just one win.
I always thought it was easier being coach when you actually took the losses, because it was easier knowing that how you could adapt to what would now make you win the next game. Whereas the team that all of a sudden just won a game, the recipe they want to come in with should be the same thing, but it's easier for the enemy teams to then suddenly say, well, we want to break apart your recipe and then come in with their own. So I think for Mad Lions specifically, they would have my vote going into this one.
Absolutely. We'll see what teams have ready here for game 3 as we're ready to get to casters. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Laure. Back with Vedius for game 3 of this best of 3. We are going the distance in our first series of the day. See if we can get to all 6. You call it, groups. I call it a Tuesday. But coming into this one, we obviously talk about the draft. The analyst desk talked about the draft a lot. The Lucian Nami has been exceptional for both sides. I do expect to see either one of these teams just try and either get it off the board, specifically Astralis, because they're the ones on the red.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Or we see a Nautilus.
Please, hard engaged support.
I mean, I feel like that Hilly is the type of player that would be willing to play an all-in bot lane, but given that they do have the priority, and also Hilly hasn't played a melee support all split long. He hasn't. I asked this question to Medic, do you consider Thresh a melee champion? He said no, in which case, yeah, he has Lulu, Thresh, Yuumi, Nami, Ashe. No melee supports.
Well, we'll see what he ends up kind of going for. It's definitely a different feel for Hylissang coming into the split. Has been fairly successful, but...
He's been great.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of Hilly this year. I know that, like, obviously, as a player, his history is that of, like, a bit of a coin flip player. He, like, you kind of, if you don't love him at his worst, how can you love him at his best type of mentality when it comes to Hilly. But this split, incredibly consistent. Loved what we've been seeing from him. He did get caught out once or twice last game, but, when you are playing that Ashe support, that does happen. It seems that with regards to the bans, the Lucian will now be taken off. Does mean that Varus is up and available. Wouldn't be surprised to see Mad Lions prioritize that. It is, of course, Carzzy's most played AD carry of the split. And, I mean, it's good. It's just good.
Feels like a slogan for LEC from Vedius. It's good.
Oh, so a couple things here. Remember our conversation earlier, 113 doesn't play Maokai.
Yes.
Hasn't played it this split. They banned it on blue side last game. And so Mad have said, why don't we just pick Sejuani then? So, like, because if you always trade Sejuani for Maokai and you know that the enemy jungler won't play Maokai, then you just get yourself a Sejuani with something that you know scales better and offers great utility.
Absolutely. So as you said as well, 113 doesn't play the Maokai, or at least hasn't shown it to be comfortable on the stage. So gonna go back towards that Vi. Guldborg will be a little upset that he feels like it may be a little bit of a bait, but I don't think he really had much choice. Yeah.
I mean, but I would still even prefer something like the Jarvan at the very least, right? If you're gonna go for something where you know the games have just been decided by the team fights, continue to pick something that is strong by the team, or even save your jungle pick for later on in the draft when you can see a little bit more, and instead prioritize the Sylas like you have been doing, right? You could just right now draft yourself your bot side, so you could go for the Ezreal Karma if you wanted to. Oh, okay, Aphelios Thresh, a bit of a throwback, an old school bot lane. I wonder with the itemization changes to AD carries, if this has risen Aphelios up in priority, if something that teams have been scrimming, but it's a bot lane that is tried and true, and last year, Aphelios, Jinx, this was the meta, right?
If you played AD carry in 2022, you played Aphelios. Yeah. That was just kind of how it was. So we are going to see the Jax again for Finn up in that top side. So giving him, and honestly, he's had some fantastic games. Even in game 1 where they lost, he did get a couple of solo kills to himself as well. So really like this prioritization for the side of Astralis. But now, with
Sylas. It's Sylas.
I was
you have to ban the Sylas.
Probably the Rise as well. Or
well,
Cassidon.
Maybe. Because the thing about it, if you lock in Rise, remember Matt had the Cassio as an option. I was going to say the other thing you can do is ban away AD carries, but I think Ezreal is now what they're going to go for, and I think the Sylas is just too good for Dajor. It's his most comfortable champion. It's something that he's very proficient at, and you can steal away the Sejuani ultimate. Stealing away the box also has its fair share of value. Like, it's just a good ban.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good ban.
Again, we go back to that quote you just gave me. It's just good. That's just how it is. It's going to be your mantra for life now. But more AD kind of melee solo laners being taken off. We saw this from Astralis in game 1, but this time around it is kind of a part and parcel due to the Sejuani. You do not want to give her easy stacking, so something like the Renekton, the Jace is exceptionally powerful at doing that. And with the final ban, Mad Lions will decide whether or not they want to double down. Yes, they go with the Ezreal this time around. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised maybe even just to see a Sivir come out here for Kobbe.
Yeah, you're right. Definitely an option. You have a very short range comp if you do decide to go for the Ezreal. Part of me thinks that he might look at something like a Xayah. But yeah, you did talk about the Sivir. Looks like that's the direction that they're... Oh, hang on a second.
Now we don't talk about hovers.
Well,
that's the rule.
I'm falling for the trap.
Yeah.
He's just going through a champion. Twitch!
Okay! All right, bit of spice coming out from Astralis. They recognize that, look, what gave us the advantage in game number 2 was a little bit of a, a different kind of setup, a different draft. The Jarvan obviously coming in. This time around, they're going with the Twitch.
Twitch. Wow. He's a champion that I know many believed could be a big beneficiary of the AD carry changes.
Medics at home, just like wiping a proud tear away.
I'm excited to see his itemization, what direction he decides to go as Mad Lions round out their draft. Very reminiscent of what we saw in game 1. The Cassio
Love this.
Locked in for Dajor. This is the Nisqy special. For those that have followed Nisqy throughout his career, he's always been like the Cassio guy in Europe. So the fact that Dajor is bringing it out against him, or is he? Wait.
Oh, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait until it goes down. But this could be a Cassio bot lane and a Twitch support with Karma mid just to mitigate that mid lane pressure from the Azir. This is creative. This is very, very interesting if they do stick with it.
I'm gonna hold my breath and we're just gonna wait. Normally I would wait. 20 seconds is the time at which you're allowed. And I don't know what 20 seconds is. That's locked.
We just got confirmation. That is locked. That is a Cassio Twitch bot lane.
Okay, I was not expecting Cassio Twitch. The idea that the Karma could be flexed wasn't even something that I was playing with. I've been completely caught off guard. I imagine Mad Lions, but you can see the smiles on Hilly's faces. Mad are excited. They're laughing. Astralis is excited as well. Okay, so the energy is good for both teams. The spirits are high. We're getting into game 3. Reminder that the winner will continue to move on through the upper bracket, whereas the loser still has a chance. 2 losses in the best of 3s and you're out. 2 wins mean that you move on to the top 4 and the playoffs of Winter.
Don't forget, though, as well, you've got to be careful of falling into that lower bracket because you will consistently stay there even throughout to playoffs. But we're going to see how this one 100% ends up being. Astralis bringing out a new comp as we jump onto the Rift for game number 3.
Mac, thank you so much for joining me. Really quick question before we jump into this spicy draft is, what went wrong in game 2?
I think we were just a little bit impatient a couple times. We had a couple sloppy fights, and then suddenly Draven has no flash, and you're playing against Jarvan, and it feels kind of bad. So, yeah.
That kind of sucks, right? Now, when it comes to this draft, Astralis are throwing a curveball. They're playing it all for all. They've got a very spicy draft. Were you guys prepared for this, or were you surprised?
I was not expecting the Twitch Cassiopeia bot lane.
So I'm expecting that was a surprise for you and all of us. Well, Mac, thank you very much for the quick interview. Back to you guys at the Casa desk.
Don't think anyone was expecting the
He didn't
Cassio
share a lot with
Twitch.
us, did he?
No,
He just said,
I mean,
I wasn't expecting that.
But I expect the unexpected, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Well, look, you know, it is something that is a fringe solo queue thing, I suppose. You just get the double poison.
Well, I was going to talk about
yeah.
poison. Yeah, a song is in my head. You know, that poison, poison, poison. Do you know that song I'm talking about?
What was it? Your poison.
Oh, Britney
That's,
Spears.
yeah, that's what I was going with. Yeah.
No, I do know that one. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
See how many poison references we can get in here. This is going to be a fun mini game for us. And you guys can play along at home as well. Can we go to bot lane observers very quickly? I want to see what this Twitch is up to.
It's going to be a little bit of a nuisance as he just goes in, just wants to get some Halo Blade procs going in. They will get the Ignite as well. And this is the Twin Fang, the double poison. It did take you down. Look, Hylissang went from about a third to a quarter over a couple of seconds.
Wait, so hang on. I'll be honest, I've never played a Cassio Twitch bot lane, but does that apply if the enemy is poisoned, right? So let me have a quick... But does his passive count as a poison?
I believe so.
Because if it does, that's... Because I knew Singed Cassio was a thing.
Because it's both purple.
Yes. I've been confirmed that it, in fact, does apply. So, I mean, like, it makes a lot of sense, the bot lane 2 versus 2. And you already talked about the lethality of it as well, and we already saw that in bot lane. JeongHoon, level 1, roaming top lane. Everyone in solo queue has experienced this at some point.
Yes.
The super obnoxious Twitch support. Normally it is AP as well, which means that it's just even more annoying because the poison damage is just so lethal. And here he comes, he's hiding.
He's looking for something right now. The wave is being pushed in, the knockback there onto Chasy. Hello! When your flash is burned, you have to respect the damage, and all of a sudden Astralis are finding advantages across the map.
Oh, I love Twitch quotes. They're just so annoying. Yeah. The fact that he just pops up out of nowhere, but Elyoya is looking to get something back, making his way up towards top lane.
Yeah, no vision here whatsoever. Good knockback. Finn's in a lot of trouble here.
Oh,
Even takes a tower hit. He's not going to flash because he knows he is dead. Looks like the Rat gave him a little bit too much confidence because that was just great pathing there from Elyoya.
Yeah, the awkward thing for Finn was that the wave wasn't quite underneath the tower, and he was trying to just get that push in. But because of its awkward positioning, it meant that Elyoya could look for that gank, and he did do a full clear bot side into the top lane gank. Now he's going to secure himself the Scuttle Crab. And Finn is in a bit of an awkward spot right now. Chasy can go back to base, look to get the TP back in, and you can see how this wave is in a very comfortable spot right now for Chasy. So overall, JeongHoon being annoying on the map, but not really converting it into anything significant. Just a bit of bullying, both in the bot lane 2 versus 2 and in the top lane. Oh, and Chasy can keep this freeze in the top lane as well. Really nice positioning for Chasy overall.
I will say I like the idea coming out from Astralis because, let's be real, it's a Aphelios and a Thresh in that bot side. Cassio's not really going to be under much threat in the first few levels, so you can just kind of let her do her thing. She'll stack up a tier, she'll get herself towards her first item. No boots, so Sag, but Astralis will need to try and make this one work now. You can kind of see that this is the thing. When you pick something like this in the bot side with the Cassio and the Twitch, it's on you to make it work and to make it valuable. We are going to see a flash being burnt there as Plenty of good damage coming out here. Ignite from Hylissang does get burned, but the flash in response by Kobbe.
Now, I know technically this doesn't count as a melee champion, but we all know Hylissang for his playmaking supports. And a very clean hook comes out into the Ignite with the damage from Carzzy, this bot lane, unperturbed by the Cassio Twitch bot lane, and they've managed it incredibly well so far. The CS is very even. They didn't fall prey to the early level 1 cheese, and they've been able to stabilize, get a good base off. So impressive stuff. And now Elyoya looking to get a bit of deep vision down towards the bot side of the map. Will be spotted out on the wards littered by Astralis' duo. But overall, good stuff from the Mad Lions. Astralis, let's see what else they can get on the map. 1-1-3, looking to secure the Gromp. JeongHoon clearing out the vision now. But we'll have to see him start roaming around the map more. He has picked up the Amp Tome, so it looks like we will be seeing that AP Twitch as well.
Most likely the AP Twitch, and with all the craziness in the bot lane and all the things we needed to talk about, we actually never really got to talk about this Karma mid, and curious to see what kind of a build we do see, because we have seen a couple of solo lane Karmas go for that Radiant Virtue. I'll pause myself as we might see an early Dragon contest. The flash forward into the Gravitum to try and burn down 1-1-3, and they will get it. There is a Lantern as well. Dajor in a hell of a lot of trouble himself. Elyoya, though, getting caught out by the Dragon. On the bot side of that one there, the Cassiopeia recognizing there's no flash on the Aphelios, and they trade it back 1-for-1. Flash for flash. Elyoya stays alive.
Okay, so as you rightly said, 1-for-1. The Dragon doesn't end up going down. Nisqy can still catch this wave, and Kobbe looking to try and push in bot as quickly as possible before Carzzy gets back into lane. But what an engage from Carzzy. Flashes in to just land the root onto 1-1-3 to actually kick off the play. Elyoya can't really even get involved in the fight because the fight was kind of in 2 parts with 1-1-3 and Dajor on the top side and Kobbe and JeongHoon on the bottom. And you'll see, like, what a crazy play from Carzzy. Flashes in, lands the root, doesn't care about the damage. He also gets hit by the Dragon a couple times, and he realizes he's in a bit of an awkward position as he tries to take the Lantern to safety. But the poison stacking from Kobbe, the damage is relentless, and he's able to trade back a kill. And overall, I would say that that was pretty worth for Kobbe. Already started working towards that Rod of Ages now. Still though, Mad Lions, as they often do, find themselves with an early game gold lead.
And it is really kind of just centered around that top side for the unfortunate wave position, the kill, Chasy kind of getting the first real advantage in this top side against Finn that we've seen all series. Finn has really had his number pretty much the first game and second, so this is nice to see Chasy on the Cassante, which we know can just take over those mid-game fights and getting himself a little bit of priority.
What's cool about the Cassio bot lane as well is that you can just leave it isolated.
Yeah.
It's a pretty safe mage overall because she's a very difficult champion to dive with her grounding, with her ultimate. There's a lot of risk associated, and unless you start by landing a Thresh hook and then you follow it up with a Sejuani ultimate, like, she can very easily turn that situation around. So because she knows that, that then gives her the ability to just sit in lane. Look, already level 6. JeongHoon very underleveled right now, but he's going to be roaming around, and the annoying thing about invisibility is you always have to respect it. Every time Twitch moves into Fog of War, he could show up anywhere. Yeah, well, they're going to show up on this bot side. It's not going to be the Twitch, but 1-1-3 immediately flashes away. He gets hit by the ultimate, but Hylissang was taken very, very low. The damage is ticking, but he will not fall down. And that's going to be Mad Lions just kind of taking advantage of an overzealous 1-1-3. So good punish there from the Mad Lions. They're able to get themselves another kill. Oh, the all out to make in the all in. He's going to move forward here. Dajor is around. He's going to try and bait him in, though, as he try and look for this one. The shield is good. They get the root down. Dajor now in a little bit of a 1v1. I don't think he wants this right now. He's saying, look, I don't want to deal with your mess, but Chasy is very, very low. Oh, Chasy messes up the flash, gets hit by the chain, and Dajor says, thank you very much. Chasy played that incredibly well up until he needed to flash over the wall, and he ends up losing his life. Does mean that Elyoya can get a cross map off as they saw Vi on the mid lane. But yeah, hate to see it. We've all done it. We all know what it's like. Let's have a look back at this play. Level 6 on 1-1-3, trying to land the grounding here onto Hylissang, but he's not really the one in danger. 1-1-3 is the one that's forced to escape. Hylissang gets very low, but is able to get away with his life. And just a good collapse overall from the Mad Lions. As Dajor looking for a bit of damage onto Nisqy, but he should be fine. Just got an update from our fantastic producers. Last time we saw a Cassiopeia bot, don't know if you remember it, week 8 of 2019, spring, Fnatic versus G2, and what was dubbed the match of the century. Oh, really?
Yes, allegedly. I don't know who's dubbing it that, but that's what I've been told.
So it must have been Perks.
Sorry,
Cassiopeia, right?
Our producer Evan has been has dubbed it. Literally screamed me in my ear. But again, been a fair while since we've seen that, and it has just kind of been a nice change. So, 113. You are very by yourself for the moment, but you will have plenty of support now. Remember, you can see the Twitch went towards that top side. Your Thresh is still bot. There's a 4v3 in favor of Astralis, and Mad Lions, they recognize that.
Golf claps from the audience as Rift Tower is secured. This does mean that Mad can threaten a few tower plates in the bot lane. No real risk of a dive, though. JeongHoon hiding in the fog of war. Hasn't been spotted. Oh, our observers highlighting beautifully how Chasy doesn't know.
Well, doesn't look like JeongHoon is going to go for anything just yet. He's waiting, looking to see if he can maybe make something work. Remember, it's kind of just Finn and nothing else in terms of your CC. It has to be the counter-strike. He's going to put himself right in the backside, and they're going to try and make this one work. Remember, no flash here. The Unstoppable does keep Chasy alive for the moment, tries to go all out and keep himself alive, and will do just that. Cassante in a million dashes.
Wow, so I was really excited about that, and it was really anticlimactic. Chasy literally just walked out. I thought he could have actually killed the Twitch, to be honest, but he said that it wasn't worth it. Elyoya threatening a gank himself, but oh, Finn, oh no, does he know?
He does now, and a little bit too little, too late. He doesn't have flash himself, so Finn goes into the W, gets CC'd again, and that's going to be another kill over to Chasy. 2-1-0. This Cassante is getting obnoxious, Vedi.
It's a situation where every time JeongHoon ganks, Elyoya's like, yeah, you know what, funnily enough, I can do that better than you can, and then he goes and kills Finn. Because he always gets that wave pushed, and then it's just an awkward situation where JeongHoon needs to really help him push that wave out, get it underneath the tower so that he can reset, but Finn sticks around, tries to ward the brush, but he ends up warding and face-checking a Sejuani, and that costs him his life. This means Chasy should be able to get himself 2 plates. The gold lead now balloons to 1.5k in the isolated 1v1, and that's really where the gold lead is sitting. When you look at the bottom of your screen, you can see that it's even across the boards. Farm, gold, everything looking good. JeongHoon should get spotted.
He does. Hook goes wide, though. You do have Elyoya here, but a flash from Hylissang keeps himself relatively healthy. He needed to do that early because, like we said earlier, if the miasma goes down, you ain't getting out.
So there's a brief delay between... Hang on.
Oh, Carzzy, he doesn't have great guns. He can't get away from this one. He heals the Twin Fang, and JeongHoon gets himself the kill. Finally, the Rat finds his mark.
The grounding is just so effective when paired up with the Vi and against a Thresh as well. You just can't use anything. You can't move. You have to just get out of the space before you can escape. And the flash in from JeongHoon was enough. Now the dive is being threatened.
They've got a flash on 113. They've also just got level 6 on JeongHoon, who's got himself Rat-a-tat-tat. They don't have the Petrifying Gaze. Good flay, though. The miasma comes in. They're going to get the grounded down. The Thresh goes over. That's going to be a kill there, as we can see the Azir come in. Nisqy finally becoming a part of this fight. Gets a nice little bit of a shielding, though, as he might turn back onto him. Kobbe trying to go for it, but Nisqy matches. 113 now, isolated with one Elyoya, but now JeongHoon flash from 113 keeps him going nicely there. Dajor with the Radiant Virtue doing so much, and it ends up going positively for Astralis.
Wow, Astralis walk away with all the kills. They did have to lose Kobbe in the exchange, but the shield from Dajor was so clutch to keep JeongHoon alive, which then set it for 113 and JeongHoon to kill the isolated Elyoya, who really thought that he could get the kill into 113. A crazy skirmish in the bot side of the map that Chasy, where a lot of the gold is sitting, couldn't get involved, and then you look back at the bot lane, you look at the gold differences again, and you can see that Astralis is continuing to mount leads.
I was just about to say, looking at the gold difference, despite this Twitch roaming around, not being in the lane to try and soak up, the stacks on his support item and also the XP, he just got a couple of kills, so now he's got the Nash's too. He's going full AP onto this, which means that coming around this dragon fight, this Twitch is a relative threat.
Yep, I'm going to have a quick look at the ultimate cooldown. It's about 15 seconds as the dragon is started off. 113 sitting in the fog of war. Can we see what Mad sees, please, observers? As the fight is getting closer. So they're going to lose this position. Astralis fights their way back in, but Mad is afraid of the potential collapse.
Chasy just got his TP off cooldown. That's why Finn's chasing him on the mini-map. He needs to make sure that this Cassante can't join. Hook goes wide. Dragon down to 1,000. Oh, nicely secured there by Mad. Smites did not come out for 1-1-3, but now the fight is going to look to try and ensue. Dajor flashes forward, looking to try and just be a nuisance. He's a tank, remember, on this Karma, and they get one. Hylissang is dead. Finally, Chasy joins. He didn't need a TP after all. They're trying to jump in on top of this, and Sejuani is dead. It's jungler for jungler. Now Finn onto Carzzy, who flashes away and keeps himself ticking. That is Mad Lions getting the dragon, and not only that, they get the fight, and now Nisqy jumps onto the little rat. The last time you will get a kill, and he gets himself a shutdown.
Wow. The fact that Mad Lions walked away as the victors of that fight is incredible. That did not look good at all initially, but too many individual mistakes from Astralis came out. The fight became too scattered, and Mad was able to turn it around with just some great target focus. And keep your eyes on Dajor at the start of this fight. He's actually going to flash in to initiate as Elyoya. He's going to throw out the ultimate, sure, but this isn't really the start of the fight. It's right here where Dajor flashes in that they commit, because this is where Mad gets split up. On the top side, they're getting that kill onto Hylissang. Elyoya gets incredibly low, and you think the team fight is won, but Chasy turns around, kills 1-1-3. Finn gets isolated from the team. This wall stops Astralis from being able to support their top laner, and one by one, Mad just pick apart Astralis, securing this additional kill onto JeongHoon as well. Nisqy, kind of the unsung hero in that fight, while his ultimate didn't really knock anyone back, it created this space of terrain with which Astralis couldn't play around.
You can see the damage graph there. The Twitch was significant. JeongHoon was putting out work, but just compared to Nisqy's Azir, just so much there. And this is kind of similar to game number 1. He's just farming up, getting himself items, becoming relevant. And
look at the total damage.
Yeah.
He's actually done the highest on his team so far.
He has been the most active, I will say. But we come back to live. It is a 1,500 gold lead in favor of Mad. 2 dragons now. We have another Hex Soul in this series, as the next Rift Herald will go in favor of Mad as well. Chasy will find himself a rat. Just keep himself nice and informed.
So, as the game kind of results in this cross map, Finn, yeah, he's going to back away from that one, unsurprisingly. A quick reminder to those at home, if you've just booted into Champions Select, you're going to want to ban Twitch right now.
Right about
now.
Don't
hesitate, just ban them. The moment we showed those damage numbers, a lot of people just said, huh, so support can be fun.
Yeah.
And,
as if it wasn't already like completely messed up with Ashe, Heimerdinger, Jhin, Kalista, Caitlyn.
Yep. So just as a quick PSA, you're going to want to do that. Quick tower goes down in favor of Mad Lions, which will result in the 2-0 tower lead, a 3k gold advantage as well. A lot of that sitting on top of Nisqy right now. Once again, having a great Azir performance. The grounding doesn't quite come through. But Astralis not out of this game yet. Their scaling's still very good. You have to recognize that while they do have a lot of AP damage, which may be problematic, Cassio of Twitch is scary.
Yes.
And the fact that you have this Karma providing that support as the game progresses, this is a very dangerous Baron-taking team. This is one good team fight away from snowballing the game out of control. And yeah, it's a composition that definitely can't afford to be underestimated. In terms of executing the team fights, Mad's is a lot easier. There's a lot of individual agency on the side of Mad's composition with Azir, the wall, and the space. We've already seen a great example of what it can do. They have a much easier time starting off the fights because of Elyoya's ultimate and Chasy's disruption capabilities. So in terms of compositions, Mad's much easier to play, but if you dive into a Cassio, you're only making her life easy.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well, obviously, a lot of AP. Not really any kind of magic resistance to be really seen.
Not yet.
Not yet. And of course, you look at Chasy, he's got himself the Sunfire Aegis just finished up there. Of course, the
He's only got 55 right now.
I was going to say, that does come passively from the Mythic, so he does get himself a little bit, but it is not going to be that significant to try and, stop this shredding from coming out. 40 seconds until the dragon spawns. You can see Mad are saying, look, we're strong right now. We know we can force you off of objectives. It's the Cassio who is the real threat.
Cassio making their way down. The Azir turret will come out, but that's just buying a little bit of time. Baron in a minute, and Dragon in 30 seconds means that Mad's main goal is to push out mid.
Not great guns for Carzzy right now. You can see he wants to try and maybe burn through those before this Dragon fight really kicks off, but Elyoya pressuring in that side of the jungle. Top side was pushed in, so Astralis are going to have some lost farm on the top lane as they try and just get vision in on this Dragon Pit.
Yeah, observers, can we see what Astralis sees right now? How much control they actually have? They've managed to make their way into the river. The Scuttle Crab is going to be super valuable. But you can see how they're playing through bot right now as Mad control mids. Thank you so much, observers. The person you have to keep your eyes on is JeongHoon. His access to the backline is something that's very dangerous. As I say that, Mad have found a way into the backline.
Hook goes wide, and that's not going to be Finn there. JeongHoon using those Hex Gates to get himself onto the backside, and they have to be aware of that. You can see Nisqy immediately moves himself to intercept. Dragon has been started down to about 2/3 of its HP. Dajor realizes he needs to be the tank that moves forward. JeongHoon and Finn swap position. JeongHoon is invisible for the moment. They don't know exactly where the rat is. He's going to find a little bit of a mark. Flash forward by 113 does not land onto anything. They can burn down the jungler, and it's exactly what they're going to do. Chasy can't move. He's on the miasma. The heal from Carzzy keeps him alive. And now you can see them move forward. Flash in. Double counter-strike, and now Mad Lions, they are not in control of this fight. They are on the wrong side of the rip as Dajor flashes forward, looking to finish off some of these health bars. You get a great ultimate there from the Azir as he tries to stay alive, but Vedi, they're on the wrong side. They can't survive this right now, and everyone from Mad Lions, one by one, little by little, is falling.
Mad Lions doing what they can to escape, but the chase is on for Astralis. The Baron is up as well, and 113 has come back out onto the map. The more time they buy, the more stagger, or the more they can do to stagger these death timers, rather, only makes securing this Baron easier. Elyoya is still alive, and the health bars aren't that high. Chasy has come back in with the TP, and Mad are not giving this one up.
Here we go, Astralis, they start off the Baron. We saw this go pretty badly for them in game number 1. Let's see if they can secure it this time around. They are shredding it is still. A Cassiopeia, Elyoya gets jumped on, but knocks away Finn, so doesn't get the CC. Baron, 2,000 HP. Chasy gets a kill. They're going to try and make this one work. The Sejuani is dead. There is no steal to be had. The Baron is secure, but can you get out alive? That is the question. Dajor, no mana, nowhere to go. He will fall. The Cassio is dead. 113, who died at the start of this whole thing, respawns, and he's the only one left.
It's Astralis that walk away with the Baron, but what was the cost? 4 lives. Find themselves back in the fountain as Mad Lions was able to respawn, regroup, and decimate the Astralis lineup. Minus 300 is the current gold that they walk away with. And Mad Lions, while the fight was bad, while things looked great for Astralis, Mad still end up coming out on top.
Not only that, they get themselves a couple of kills and the soul point. It feels like Astralis, those staggered death timers were great, but it kind of worked against them because they underestimated how long they had to try and take that Baron.
I'm curious as to where this replay is going to start. Okay, so we're not even going to get to see the previous fight. Just watch Chasy. No one is hitting him right now. He also gets the Sejuani passive as Finn is zoning Elyoya away from the fight. But look at that 3-man stun as well. Secures the initial kill onto JeongHoon. He then can't really do much on the backline, but he's just buying time for Carzzy to join the fight. Nisqy then TPs in, gets the initial pick. And you can see how it's 3 isolated 1v1s basically. Carzzy has more than enough damage to secure the kill onto Kobbe, who has no ultimate available. Meanwhile, there's no mana available for Dajor, so Nisqy secures that kill. Now Carzzy is afraid of the all-in.
He is afraid of the all-in. The hook goes wide, but the flash from Carzzy keeps him nice and safe. Uses the ult there to try and turn back onto 113, who is not the healthiest in terms of his health bar, but you can see their last team fight, Chasy. My God, my son, that is a monstrous Cassandra. And the funny thing is, he does that before his all-out because he gets it at the end.
I'm a little sad that we didn't get to see the initial fight around Dragon because that one was an incredibly close one too. And the thing about the fight was that Astralis kind of leveraged their poke in a sense, you know, like they were throwing down so much poison, they were chipping away the HP bars, and then it wasn't until after they chipped away Mad Lion's HP that they really committed to the fight.
This isn't a 1v1 this time around. They need to stay away from the walls, though. That's the big thing, because he can just all out on top of this. The TP's going to come out. JeongHoon is dead. You talked about the isolated 1v1s. Chasy makes them happen for himself. Now Dajor trying to run away from the Sejuani, but not going to be able to get away from Chasy and says, you want to try and kill me? Double kill going to the top laner of Mad.
8-1-3 is the scoreline for Chasy. He got a couple of early ganks and he's showing you what he can do with them. Elyoya has the ult.
He does have the ult. He flashes forward, only lands there onto Finn, who's fairly tanky at this stage of the game. There's still a fairly short range composition coming out from Mad Lions in terms of their siege, and with the Baron still available for 113 for a couple more seconds, they don't want to overextend.
minus 2,000 gold is what Astralis got off the back of this Baron. And admittedly, this is less impressive when you take into account that he killed a level 9 Twitch.
5 level difference.
In a 1v3, the fact that he walked away with his life, Astralis just didn't have the damage to kill Chasy. He was very aware of that. Notice that Elyoya holds on to his ultimate because he's like, I don't need it here, we have more than enough damage. And Chasy with the ultimate just tears apart Dajor. But what a great game from the top side here of Mad Lions. Chasy coming up clutch. It was a sketchy game, in all honesty. Mad Lions came in as the heavy favorites, but I think Astralis have proven that they're more than equipped to go toe-to-toe with Mad. And this early game looked really good. That last team fight for Astralis looked good. It was just that Baron. We talked about how she be a tempting mistress. And sometimes that temptation can lead to your demise.
Yeah, she's not got your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
You got to be careful there. You got to look out for yourself. But Astralis now will be taking solace in the fact that they have 2 minutes until that Baron spawns, so they could farm up, get some levels onto JeongHoon, I imagine. But the big thing now is that we're looking at these two compositions, and Kobbe is your carry. He's 3 items now. He's got that Rylai's Crystal Scepter alongside the Seraphs and, of course, the Rod of Ages. So he is the damage. He will melt through Chasy if he's given an opportunity. But as we saw on that top side, you try to go into Chasy with anybody else, it's just not going to happen.
All right. Chasy, he is a menace in the side lane right now. He is incredibly tanky. 132 magic resistance right now. He has a lot of armor that I would argue he's not getting the most value out of.
Say, yeah.
But still, regardless, this front line, this side lane threat, and like Nisqy's strong, right? You can't underestimate that. Carzzy is getting there, slowly working towards that 3rd item, but still quite a ways off the Infinity Edge. Still though, Mad in a good position. They're just waiting for the next Drake to spawn. A quick base as they spend their gold ahead of the fight. You can see a stopwatch now picked up for Carzzy, knowing he doesn't have flash. This is what it will ultimately come down to. Can Astralis find the fight?
Oh, Nisqy.
Should be fine.
Should be fine, but you be very aware that you're not going to be as safe, as now we see Finn going toe-to-toe here with Chasy, getting him down fairly decently.
Oh yeah, I mean the Black Cleaver doing work for Finn in the 1v1, that's for sure. The extended fight, you expect the Jacks to be able to come out on top, but Chasy choosing to group up with his team and looking for the fight.
Looking for it. They're going to try and move forward onto this one. That's on the Dajor, but he is tanky. He's got that Radiant Virtue now. Carzzy, without his ultimate, Elyoya no longer has his. You've not got flash on Carzzy or Elyoya right now, so you are a little bit off on the timing of that. You would love to wait a couple more seconds before this fight really pets up, but JeongHoon, he's on the side. Finn looking for a flank as well, but Finn will be spotted.
Mad Lions trying to cover for the flank. Very paranoid about where this Twitch is coming from. Tensions mount. Potentially the soul for Mad Lions if they can steal this and get out. Remember that the Baron is up as well, so a fight win here could mean the Baron and the game.
Here we go. JeongHoon finds himself on the back side here. They're going to go in straight away. They're going to jump down onto Nisqy. JeongHoon flashes away, but it's a great ultimate from Nisqy to separate this fight once again. He has been on point on this Azir. It is only the Twitch for the moment who goes down. Everyone else still relatively healthy. Nisqy, though, still needs to go back and reset. He has TP. He can rejoin this fight.
Yeah, Mad need to make sure they don't take too much damage. Carzzy needs to leverage the range that he has from this gun. 1-1-3 goes in.
He goes in, hits Chasy again. Very, very tanky. There's the miasma again. Elyoya hits a great ultimate onto Finn, who gets hooked straight away afterwards. He has got himself, but Chasy knocks them all back. Welcome to the family. Big old bear hug. And it's a double kill to Nisqy. Astralis tried to make this comp work, but Mad played it slow. They played it methodical, and they just played it better.
This is just Chasy's world, and we're all living in it. The man eviscerated Astralis single-handedly. What an incredible performance from the Mad Lions top laner. That final 3-man knockback was sublime, and Mad are looking to end the game right here, right now.
They are looking to end it. 20 seconds till you got Dajor or Kobbe, and not going to be a sneaky kill for the Twitch. Mad Lions got their Nexus in their sights. Not as clean 2-0 that we all thought it would be. 1-1-3, trying to salvage something from this. The Thresh will die, but it's only a consolation prize there for the side of Astralis. They will fall to the Mad Lions, who take the series 2-1.
What a great game from Chasy. he got those early ganks topside, and he was a little muted in a lot of the fights. Sure, he was a strong front line, but when we got into the mid to late game, this man was just absolutely popping off in terms of his impact. It was incredible to see. Huge credit, of course, needs to be given to Nisqy as well. We talked about his wall in one of those initial fights that really went in the favor of Mad Lions. And we continued to see his damage and impact as the game continued. But for Mad Lions, this is such a big deal. Often they were criticized in the past for their limited champion pools with Nisqy and Armut in terms of what they could bring out, the options that they had at their disposal. And if they couldn't find good fights or if they couldn't dominate in the early game, they were a very one-dimensional team, but you can see a lot more flavors. And while I think there are still some things that the team needs to work on, needs to improve, I think the Mad can be pretty happy overall with their performance in this best of 3.
Absolutely, and you got a massive curveball thrown at you this game as well. And this is the thing, is that sometimes, you know, a best of 3 turns into a best of 1. Those curveballs can go against you, and you really don't know how to deal with it. They stayed calm. They effectively kind of dealt with the fact that, look, the Twitch in the early stages could literally be anywhere, and they just kept themselves above water. They made sure this Twitch never became a massive issue. They made sure that they kept Carzzy relevant in terms of an AD carry, and just the team fights again, just playing to their strengths, knowing that they were stronger in that particular field, and just executing beautifully.
And credit to Astralis. I like that they did try something different in the final game. I think they did throw a big curveball. I think there were a lot of fights where they looked really good. It was just a couple of those final decisions where things didn't quite work out. But this is still a very scary team, as group stage is not over for them just yet.
Not just yet, but you have to vote for your player of the series at LEC on Twitter, Chasy, Nisqy, and Carzzy. I'm thinking one of those players might have some recency bias coming into this particular series, but honestly, I think, you know, between himself and Nisqy, it was just a really good performance from the solo lanes of Mad Lions.
Yeah, for sure. I was really impressed with the top side overall of the Mad Lions, and I'm excited to see how G2 show up in our next best of 3 and what they can actually do as against BDS later on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to send it over to Tribble, who's sitting by with the victorious Carzzy.
Thank you very much, guys. Carzzy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
My first question is very simple. Did you guys fall for the cheese in the bot lane?
So I was kind of surprised because it's not really a matchup that you can expect to face. So I was a bit worried in the beginning, but then the Twitch wasn't really doing much. So yeah, I think we played well around it.
Apart from the Twitch, were you guys expecting the mates to come down the bot lane like a Cassiopeia?
No, I thought that I don't know. I wasn't even looking at the champs. In champ select, it was after Nisqy told me that I'm playing against Cassio Twitch. So I was kind of surprised.
Wait, what were you looking at during the picks and bans then?
I was looking at the opposing team.
Were you playing games with Finn?
Yeah.
Who won on that one?
No, we were just like looking at each other.
Who won the stare down?
It wasn't stare down.
It wasn't even a stare down. Okay, I'll have to ask Finn about this as well. So, Carzzy, what were your overall expectations for this best of 3? Do you think Astralis overperformed from what you were expecting?
I think they played pretty well, honestly. I think we played a bit worse than usual. But overall, I enjoyed it. It was fun. Astralis played well. They also did this nice cheese, so I like it.
Perfect. Well, you know, Carzzy, when you were not in Mad last year, they didn't necessarily win any best of series in the LEC. Now you join Mad, you get second in regular. Now you win the first best of for this year. Is it a Carzzy diff for Mad?
I mean, I don't think this series was necessarily Carzzy diff. I think I got kind of carried by Nisqy. But yeah, sure, Carzzy diff.
There we go, we take those. When it comes to the atmosphere, guys, a lot of people were saying that Carzzy brings, you know, the fun and the laughs in the team. Now you're back in Mad. How has the atmosphere been overall?
And the atmosphere in the team is really nice. I think everyone is enjoying it. Except for the scrims maybe, but like outside of the scrims, I think everyone is enjoying each other's, I don't know the word for it, being around each other.
I don't know, something, monkeys, something from a previous interview from Elyoya, I think it was. Now, can I pick your brain a little bit for the series coming up? It's going to be G2 versus BDS. Who you got?
I mean, I think G2 should win, but BDS are gonna put up a good fight, honestly. I expect a lot from BDS.
So 2 or 3 games?
I hope 3.
All right, well, we're hoping for 3 games as well. So just to find out, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to go into a quick break. Thank you very much, Carzzy.
Thank you.